So before we go anywhere today, let's take a breath together. We are going to inhale through the nose and exhale slowly. Good. I'm Holly, and I'm starting this series a bit differently than I usually do. Because what we're about to explore is really personal for me. It's not just theory, it's not just teaching, it's 25 years of my life. So I grew up Catholic. My mom raised me in it. My dad was Protestant. But honestly, that distinction does not matter. The message that came from both households was you're not quite good enough. You need something outside of you to make you worthy. I remember being a kid going to church on occasions. It was more regular CCD classes and learning that I was born sinful. That I had to confess my thoughts to a priest, a man, to be forgiven by God. That there were so many rules. All these things I had to do, all these things I couldn't do. And if I messed up, you're going to hell, right? So, I think I was about 14 when I really kind of focused and started questioning things. Not in an angry way, just more or less confused. Because something in me, deep down, was saying, that doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like God. And it kind of felt more like control. And I remember thinking, why do I need church to talk to God? Why can't I just talk to him? Or her? Or whatever God is? Why do I need to earn something that should be freely given? Why am I being told that I'm fundamentally broken? And in that searching, in that need to find something or feel something real, I kind of found paganism, which is kind of like called Wicca today, or I guess back then they started calling it Wicca. So these things, religion, was mainly kind of rooted in energy and earth. It felt more right than Catholicism ever did. And so because it wasn't asking me to earn worthiness, it was more inviting into something I could feel and experience more. That was my first taste of what I was really looking for. Not a doctrine, not authority, but something alive and real. After my confirmation, I was done with the church. we went to weddings, or I went to weddings, baptisms. After that, but I didn't stop searching. So from high school onward, I seem to remember, I think it was in high school, I met someone, or maybe it was just outside. I think we maybe went to college. I don't remember enough, but he started a paganism or a Wiccan book club. And I think he did it off hours at Circles of Wisdom. But that was a long time ago. And so from high school onward, so I graduated high school in 1999. To now, I read everything I could. I listened to things. I looked up things. Paganism was kind of my home. But I kept reading, kept searching, kept trusting something deeper. Something deeper inside me said that there was more. I went to massage school around 2006. After that, I got a degree in holistic psychology. And I went through every holistic approach I could find. Because it was something that oriented me towards being natural, being organic, something towards energy. Anything towards that way felt real. And it wasn't something I was told to believe. It was just kind of coming up from the inside of me is what I felt. And so I was diagnosed with ADD the first time at the age of 6. Um, I was not diagnosed, like, I was not on medication. They put us on, I don't think Adderall was around back then, or maybe it wasn't in our circle at that time. But they tried putting us on Ritalin, and it didn't work. Me and my brother had, I think it was stomach issues due to it. So at least we were in a good school system for that. So I wasn't on medication, which was fine. I do think the school system I was in the beginning that really helped out with that. But in 2015, I came up, I was trying to learn QuickBooks and everything for my business, and I couldn't, I think, oh my goodness, I think I had like 10 people almost show me how to use it, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't focus. And so to have a quick little, oh my goodness, a quick little, like, I don't want to say slap in the face, but a quick boost, because I knew this was something I needed to do to run my business. And so I chose to get re-diagnosed again. And so I did, I was put on Adderall for a while, and I didn't like the side effects. And so after that, after learning QuickBooks, after doing what I needed to do, I definitely worked more towards a holistic approach instead of medication. And I chose to trust myself more over the system. And that choice, it it definitely started the ball rolling again of really starting to trust myself inside and not look to outside for answers. And so I had built Tranquility Wellness Center. That was after. So 2018, it was around, is when I merged with another business or took over another business. And so that's when breath work and meditation, those modalities really started to come in more for me. And really to fully understand them. I consumed everything still. I read, I attended sound baths, I tried meditation, I explored a little bit of breath work. Not the breath work that I do now, but the breath work I do now is totally different and life-changing. But my ADD made consistent practice hard, but I kept going because something in me knew that there was something real here. And so I kept pushing through and attending everything I could. I want to say, I don't remember exactly when I found or discovered Joe Dispenza. So it's Dr. Joe Dispenza. I was infatuated by his story. And I think it was, I don't remember, I don't remember the date, but for here, I kind of put in between 2014, 2018-ish. I think it was almost even before that is when I found it, and his work, his philosophy, it definitely shifted something in me. It showed me that our bodies and our consciousness are capable of so much more than we've ever been taught. That healing, real healing, is not about being broken and needing someone to fix you. So it's about understanding that you are capable of, what your consciousness can do and what your body can actually achieve. That belief that we are actually more powerful than what we've been told, that became bedrock and everything that came after. So even though I kind of re-diagnosed with myself because I needed something as a quick fix, which, medication does that, except it affects everything else. So I have been down that hole of needing that quick fix, doing it, but then taking a step back. So now I can go deeper in. And so I didn't start teaching sound, meditation, and breathwork till closer to 2022. And that's important because I learned it first, I consumed it first, and then I got certified and lived it before I taught it. I wasn't, handing people teachings that I just barely read about. I was teaching them from lived experiences, or I am. So it was around 25 years of searching and doing all this, and I am so grateful for all the people that have planted those seeds and planted enough and kept going with me um until I finally came with it. And they were like, finally. So, but for all those years from 99 till last year 2025, I was reading and searching and trusting and knowing that somewhere deep inside would come up. So January, around January 2025 is when I read Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsch. Before that, I read Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And it's funny the crossover that came in between those two books. And then realizing that Napoleon Hill wrote that book, Outwitting the Devil, in 1939, so a little off track. But it wasn't published till 2011. The Conversation God books were written and published in the mid-90s. So there's no way Neale Donald Walsch could read, Outwitting the Devil and then add stuff into his books from that. So that's the thing. But Napoleon Hill didn't want his book published because he probably would have been ridiculed for what he wrote in that book. So, and then his wife said the same thing. That, you can't publish it till after I die. And yeah, not till 2011. So it's pretty cool. So if you ever read those books, but after that, and also, there's a few others. I have a whole list of books that definitely did it. But once, it was Michael Singer. Oh my God, The Untethered Soul. So after reading these, and everything kind of clicked, it all came into place. Not because it taught me something new, but because it finally gave me the language for what was always known. God is not outside of me. I am not outside of God. I've been knowing this whole time, and it wasn't until it solidified that God is inside of me. God is inside of everyone, everything. And so every book I've read, every modality I've explored, every moment I've chose to trust myself instead of the system, every time my body forced me to listen, it all made sense. It all came together. And so I also grew up in a household where women's voices really didn't matter. My dad was the head, he paid the bills, no one questioned, but everyone did as they were told. My mom, she's brilliant, she's capable, she is more than enough. But she was told over and over that she wasn't. And that I watched that, and I learned that. And still kind of happens to this day. And I've learned to suppress myself, to question whether my knowing was it actually knowing? Or was it just I was being difficult? And that does get tangled up with the religion really quickly. Because, especially in Catholicism, it's a very specific message for women. We really don't have a big voice in there. And so now, 45, I spent 25 years trusting something in me that most systems, religious, medical, social, told me not to trust. And now I help other people do the same. Not through religion, not through another institution, but through the body, through presence, through coming home to themselves. So here's something I want you to understand about the difference between religion and spirituality. And it starts with an image. So religion is a map. Spirituality is a territory. And so a map is useful. And I'm not saying it's not. But if you've ever been somewhere, a map gives you structure, direction, landmarks. It tells you where the roads are, what to expect, how to get there. But here's the thing about a map. It's not the place. You can study a map of the ocean your entire life. You can memorize the coastline, every current, every depth, and still have no idea what it feels like to stand at the water's edge with the sand under your feet and the salt in your air, and the salt in the air, in your air. The ocean cannot be understood through a map. It has to be experienced. So religion is the map. At its best, it provides structure, community, and framework for understanding life and death and meaning. For some people, that framework is generally supportive. It creates belonging, creates comfort. I'm not here to say that's wrong, but here is what I'm asking you to consider. What happens when that what happens when that map becomes more important than territory? What happens when you spend so much time studying the rules of the map that you forget the actual journey? What happens when the institution, the church, the doctrine, the authority becomes more important than your direct experiences with God? That's when the map becomes a cage. And a lot of people are living inside that cage without even knowing it. So if religion is the map, what's spirituality? Spirituality is your direct experience of something greater than yourself. Not a concept, not a doctrine you were born into, not rules about what to believe and how to behave. A felt personal, undeniable experience of God, source, the divine, whatever word resonates for you. It's the moment you're sitting in complete stillness and something in you just settles. It's the moment you hear music in your eyes fill with tears for reasons you can't explain. It's the moment in the middle of all the chaos when you feel completely and without question held. That experience doesn't belong to any institution. It doesn't require permission. It doesn't require the right words. It doesn't require a membership. It's available to you and every single person. What it requires is one thing: presence. And presence, that's something you can practice. That's something you can build. Now, I'm going to bring this somewhere that you might feel unexpected, because this is where my work lives. The beliefs you hold, especially the ones you absorb before you are old enough to even question them, they don't just live in your mind. They live in your nervous system. They live in your body. Think about this. If you're raised in a belief system that taught you are fundamentally flawed, you need to earn love, God is watching and keeping the score, certain thoughts or feelings are sinful or dangerous. What does that do to a nervous system? Over the years, over decades, it creates a baseline of fear. A constant background hum of you're not safe, you're not good enough, you're doing it wrong. And your body believes it. Your nervous system believes it. And you move through your days with this weight that you can't quite name. You have anxiety that seems to come from nowhere. You have this feeling of disconnection that no amount of information seems to fix. And you have absolutely no idea that it's because your nervous system is trained from childhood to believe a lie about who you are. I've said it to hundreds of people who came to me carrying chronic anxiety, exhaustion, a quiet sense of something's wrong with me. And when we slow down, when we get curious, when we listen to the body, we find out that underneath all of its belief systems that they never chose. A story about God, about worthiness, about whether they're allowed themselves to trust themselves. And once they see it, once they understand where it comes from, everything starts to shift, because awareness changes everything. This series exists because I wish someone had given me this conversation when I was 14. I wish someone had said to me, what you're feeling is real, what you're questioning is valid, and what you have permission to find, and you have permission to find your own truth. So that's what I'm doing now, for you. But before we go and move on to our closing practice, I want to leave you with something to sit with. And you don't have to answer it now, just notice. What do you actually believe? And what were you taught to believe? And can you tell the difference? Because a lot of people can't. And that's not personal failure. That's just what happens when someone else's map becomes a reality. So, let's close the way we'll close every episode in this series, by moving out of your head and back into your body. Because everything we talked about today can stay as ideas. Or it can become something you actually feel. And when you actually feel it, when your nervous system knows it's safe to relax, that's when the real change begins. So find a comfortable position wherever you are. If you are driving, you can breathe, just don't close your eyes. But let your hands rest, not if they're on the steering wheel. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. And we're going to take 3 nice deep breaths together. Just 3. That's all we need. We're going to do a small count. But we're going to inhale, hold gently, and then exhale. So first inhale through your nose, at least for 4 counts. Just hold for 2 or 3 at the top, and release through your mouth. Slow and complete. Second breath in through your nose. Hold. And out. All the way. And 1 more in. Hold. And release. Good. Now notice how that feels. That's your body coming home, and that's available to you anytime, anywhere. 3 breaths. You can do it while you're driving. And that's all it takes to begin. So I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to my story. And if something landed, if a question surfaced, or anything stirred in your body, pay attention to that. It's not random. That's your inner knowing starting to speak up. So the next episode, we're going to go deeper into your beliefs and where they actually come from, and why so many of us carry a story we never consciously chose. But I want to say something before we go. If this resonated with you, if you're feeling curious or less alone right now, Know that this journey doesn't have to be a solo thing. I've also created something called Align to Wellness, a membership, designed for people exactly like you. People who are waking up, people who are questioning, people who want to move from anxiety and disconnection to something deeper and more real. It's not another course to consume information from, it's a practice. A space where you build consistency, connect with your body, and do the actual inner work that moves you from belief into knowing. Everything I'm teaching in this series, we go deeper in there. We practice it. We integrate it. If you're interested, I'll leave the link below in the comments and the description. But whether you join or not, keep watching, because the most important thing right now is that you start asking questions. You start listening to yourself. You start coming home. If this landed, share it with someone who might need it. Leave a comment. I read every one. I want to know what came up for you. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself.